You might think that reheating food is harmless, a simple convenience in a busy day. But for those of us over 60, what we put back on the stove or in the microwave can quietly shape the way we feel, move, and even think. I've seen it time and again in my years of medical practice, patients coming in with new aches, unexplained fatigue, or foggy thinking, never suspecting the culprit could be yesterday's leftovers. The truth is, the way heat changes certain foods can make them either a quiet ally in healthy aging or a hidden source of inflammation, digestive stress, and even nerve or heart strain. Some foods, when reheated the right way, actually become more nourishing. Their natural compounds shift into forms the body can use more easily. Their starches transform into beneficial fibers, and their warmth comforts more than just your stomach. Others, however, lose vital nutrients, develop harmful compounds, or invite bacteria to grow in ways that older immune systems can no longer manage as easily. The difference isn't just about taste or texture. It's about protecting your digestion, keeping your blood sugar steady, avoiding unnecessary inflammation, and preserving your memory and mobility, things you've worked your whole life to maintain. That's why I want to walk you through the foods that are worth reheating and the ones you should leave in the past. Because the right choice can mean the difference between a strong afternoon and a sluggish one, between a clear mind and a foggy day. Let's start with one of the simplest, most familiar morning meals, and one that quietly becomes even more beneficial when you give it a second life: oatmeal. For many older adults, a warm bowl of oats feels like a gentle start to the day. But something remarkable happens if you cook oatmeal, let it cool, and then warm it again. Its natural starches change into what scientists call resistant starch. This form of carbohydrate isn't digested in your small intestine. It makes its way to your colon, where it feeds the friendly bacteria that protect your digestion, regulate your blood sugar, and calm inflammation throughout the body. That means reheated oats aren't just filling your stomach. They're nourishing your gut in a way that can ripple out into better mood, steadier energy, and even sharper focus. This is particularly important after 60, when blood sugar swings become more common and digestion can slow down. Reheated oatmeal releases energy slowly and evenly, so you avoid that post-breakfast crash that leaves you yawning by mid-morning. The benefits go deeper. Oats are rich in beta-glucan, a soluble fiber known to lower LDL cholesterol, reducing strain on the heart, a major concern in our later decades. And because oatmeal is gentle on the stomach, it's easy to eat even on days when your appetite is low. Add a handful of blueberries for antioxidants, a sprinkle of cinnamon to help with blood sugar, or a spoonful of walnuts for healthy fats, and you've turned a simple reheated breakfast into a powerful act of prevention. Next, let's talk about a food that carries both emotional comfort and medical value when reheated: vegetable soup. Oh, I've watched many older patients light up at the smell of a simmering pot, and for good reason. A well-made soup, left to rest overnight and then reheated, can be even more nourishing than it was fresh from the stove. That's because gentle cooking followed by cooling helps break down the cell walls of hearty vegetables like carrots, celery, onions, and leafy greens. When you warm it again, more of the minerals and antioxidants inside those vegetables are ready for your body to absorb. That second heating also deepens flavors without needing heavy salt or fats, making it easier to eat healthfully without sacrificing taste. Add herbs like parsley or turmeric, and you're layering in anti-inflammatory compounds that can ease stiff joints, support immune function, and even improve circulation. And because soup is mostly water, every spoonful helps with hydration, something many older adults unknowingly struggle with, leading to fatigue, dizziness, or confusion. Beyond the nutritional science, soup carries an emotional weight. It's a meal that doesn't demand effort from a tired body. It's soft, warm, and familiar, evoking kitchens from decades past and the people who cooked for us with love. That comfort has its own healing effect, calming stress hormones that can quietly erode health over time. The third food worth reheating is one many people think of as humble and unremarkable: brown rice. But done right, it's a powerhouse for aging well. Like oatmeal, brown rice develops resistant starch after cooling, and gentle reheating brings back its soft texture without destroying this benefit. That resistant starch feeds good gut bacteria, which in turn help control inflammation, support immune health, and keep digestion regular, all crucial after 60. Brown rice still has its bran and germ layers intact, which means it's loaded with magnesium for muscle function and nerve health, selenium for immune support, and B vitamins to help your cells produce energy. These nutrients are especially important for older adults who may be losing muscle mass and experiencing slower recovery from illness or injury. Reheating rice the right way and with a splash of water covered and warmed through preserves these benefits without drying it out. Pair it with vegetables, lentils, or a drizzle of olive oil, and you've got a meal that supports your heart, your bones, and your brain all at once. It's simple, grounding, and deeply sustaining. Exactly what a maturing body needs. But just as some foods become allies when reheated, others can quietly turn into troublemakers. Their proteins, fats, or starches change in ways that strain digestion, inflame blood vessels, or feed bacteria that your immune system can't fight as easily anymore. You might not notice the damage in a single meal, but over weeks, months, and years, the cost adds up in subtle but serious ways. And the first of these foods might surprise you because it's often seen as light, healthy, and wholesome until it's given a second trip through the frying pan or microwave. The first food you should think twice about reheating is mushrooms. Freshly cooked, they're full of antioxidants, low in fat, and gentle on the stomach, qualities that make them seem like an ideal choice for seniors. But their very structure is what makes them risky the second time around. Mushrooms are rich in delicate proteins and amino acids that change during the first cooking. That's fine. In fact, it's part of what makes them so easy to digest when fresh. The trouble starts when those same proteins are cooled, stored, and reheated. With a second round of heat, they can change again into forms that are harder for the body to process. In a younger gut, this might pass unnoticed. In an older digestive system, where enzyme levels are lower and intestinal sensitivity is higher, it can mean bloating, discomfort, or nausea that lingers for hours. And the risk isn't just about protein changes. If mushrooms were sautéed in butter or oil and left out too long before refrigeration, bacteria like Listeria or even Clostridium botulinum can quietly grow. If they're not reheated to a high enough temperature, those bacteria may survive and cause harm, especially in people with weaker immune systems. The unsettling part, you may not get sudden food poisoning symptoms. The effects can be subtle. Lower energy in the afternoon, trouble concentrating, or a general feeling of being off. Over time, repeated low-level bacterial exposure can chip away at your immune defenses, leaving you more vulnerable to infections. For that reason, I always tell my patients, enjoy mushrooms fresh, and in portions you'll finish in one meal. Let them be a moment of nourishment, not a leftover risk. The second food that can quietly work against you when reheated is eggs. I understand their appeal. They're simple, inexpensive, high in protein, and packed with nutrients like vitamin D and choline for brain and bone health. But eggs are also sensitive to heat. When cooked the first time, their proteins unfold into a form your body can easily digest. Once cooled and reheated, those proteins can tighten and reorganize into a structure that is tougher on the stomach. For many seniors, that means heavier digestion, bloating, or discomfort that shows up hours later. But there's a deeper danger. Reheating fried or scrambled eggs, especially if they were cooked in oil or butter, can oxidize the fats and cholesterol inside them. Oxidized cholesterol is particularly harmful because it can contribute to inflammation in the arteries, the very blood vessels you depend on to keep your heart and brain healthy. In someone already managing high blood pressure or cardiovascular disease, this quiet damage adds to the long-term burden on your circulatory system. The symptoms may not scream for your attention. Maybe you feel more sluggish after lunch, your legs a little heavier, or you're thinking a bit foggy. It's easy to chalk that up to just getting older, but often it's the food, not the years. My advice is simple. Eat eggs fresh and only cook what you'll eat immediately. If you want a protein-rich snack later, hard-boil eggs, and keep them cold. Then eat them chilled rather than reheated. The third food is perhaps the most surprising because it's tied to warm memories and family gatherings. White potatoes. I've sat with many patients who recall holiday tables piled high with mashed or roasted potatoes, and I understand their comfort. But when it comes to reheating them, there's a hidden cost, one that's especially steep for older adults. Freshly cooked white potatoes are already high on the glycemic index, meaning they convert quickly to sugar in your bloodstream. That rapid rise can lead to a quick burst of energy, followed by a crash. But when potatoes are cooked, cooled, and then reheated, especially with butter, cream, or oil, their starches can change in ways that make them even more disruptive to blood sugar control. In older bodies, where insulin sensitivity is often reduced, that can worsen inflammation, harm blood vessels, and even affect nerve function in the feet and legs. There's another layer of risk. Many people store potato dishes in plastic containers, then microwave them. Heating plastic can release chemicals like BPA into the food, chemicals linked to hormone disruption, heart strain, and even memory problems. You might never connect the dots between a reheated serving of potatoes and the tingling in your feet, the stiffness in your knees, or the tiredness that creeps in by mid-afternoon. But over time, these small hits to your circulation and energy add up, making recovery from illness or injury harder and daily life less steady. That's the truth about these three foods. They seem harmless, but for seniors, they can quietly sap strength, clarity, and resilience. The fix isn't complicated. It's about making mindful choices with your leftovers. Let mushrooms, eggs, and white potatoes be one-time meals. Enjoy them when fresh, and trust your body will thank you for it. Now, here's the bigger point I want to leave you with. In your 20s or 30s, you can get away with more. Your body bounces back faster, your immune system fights harder, and your circulation repairs itself more easily. But after 60, every choice counts just a little more. The leftovers you reheat or choose not to are part of that. They can protect your independence, keep your balance steady, and preserve your mental sharpness. Healthy aging isn't about dramatic overhauls. It's about dozens of small, consistent decisions that add up to a stronger, steadier you. Choosing to reheat foods like oatmeal, vegetable soup, and brown rice gives your body steady fuel, protects your heart, and supports digestion. Avoiding reheated mushrooms, eggs, and white potatoes spares you from inflammation, bacterial risks, and unnecessary strain on the heart and brain. So, tomorrow, when you open your refrigerator and think about lunch, remember, not every food deserves a second chance. Reheat with purpose, protect your energy, and know that each warm, well-chosen meal is a quiet investment in the years still ahead of you, years that can be healthier, clearer, and more vibrant because of the choices you make today.